I have a list of items that nobody asked for, but I hope everybody uses. What's going on, everybody? It's Carl again. So, like I said, I have a list of items that I created for basically just my world. Kind of want to give them to you guys to see if you guys want to use them, see if you guys like them. If not, don't use them, but here you go just in case. So, in my world, Merfolk are real. I think in most campaigns there's some form of aquatic humanoid. My next campaign is going to be particularly coastal, so Merfolk were kind of an obvious go-to. I mean, Magic's kind of full of Merfolk, so I just took what I wanted from there. But these items in particular aren't really found in the Magic universe or in the D&D universe. It's kind of just stuff I came up with and stuff I used in my last campaign that for some reason, I think I know the reason, but my players absolutely wanted them once they saw that the enemies had them. So what they are what I call Merfolk trinkets. These trinkets in particular are glowing shells that, depending on the color you find, and depending on obviously like what color it glows, it has a different effect. Players in my last campaign, they ended up fighting Kuatoa that had some Merfolk trinkets. Because in my world, the Kuatoa, they're slavers and they steal whatever it is that the people they enslave have. And one of those things being Merfolk trinkets, because they're so useful, they glow. So once your players see that something glows, they want it. They have to have it. And that's exactly what happened when I sent a group of Kuatoa just basically around my players. They didn't even attack the players. They were just near them. You guys know exactly how that would have went. Like, they just see shiny things and they want to take it, and that's kind of what happened. Merfolk trinkets. Now, I have a set list of my own Merfolk trinkets, but you guys can make up your own. You guys can completely switch around the colors. I don't really care. The price is, these items are typically very, very rare, and any sort of vendor that would have them on hand probably has like 2, maybe 3. Any more than that would be a little crazy, because I do think these items should be a little more on the rare side and a little more on the pricey side. And the way money works, I guess, in your campaign, you can tailor it towards that. On my sheet here, it says shell prices are 200 gold, and then powder prices are 125. Now, here's the thing. The way these shells work is, if you wear them, you gain the benefits of whatever this shell does. And the way these shells work is, there are certain magical creatures in the ocean, kind of like hermit crabs, kind of like, I guess, whelks or clams or something, that dwell inside of shells of various forms and imbue their magical properties into the shell. So after they die or after they outgrow the shell, they go off and be dead somewhere or find a new shell. And then what's left over is this magic glowing shell that you can then harvest and then use however you want. Most Merfolk, I would say, just wear it as an amulet, wear it somewhere strapped to either armor or just as jewelry. But there's 2 forms. There's obviously the shell form, and then there's the powdered form where you just grind down the shell. The shell you can wear for continuous use. The powder is specifically for one use. You just bam, one and done. So here we go. What do they do? The blue shell, very like, I guess you'd say it's like a light blue shell, and the shape of the shell doesn't really matter. If you really want to get that in depth, go for it, but I really didn't. I just kind of went based off the color. So long as you're wearing a blue shell, +1 all initiative rolls. That's it. Blue shell powder, on the other hand, if used, and by used I mean it's usually mixed with water and then sprinkled on someone by like Merfolk shaman or Kuatoa shaman. It can be used in just its powdered form, but it has to be kind of scattered on whatever it is you're using. Either just as a throw it and there's like a dust of blue smoke, or like I said, you mix it up with water and either paint it on somebody or just splash that on somebody for a quick effect. But blue shell powder, the target gets +1 to hit for 1 minute. It's really not that crazy, but it is just a nice one-use kind of thing. I didn't really want these items to be super overpowered. I just wanted them to be like a nice, fun alternative to other things we've seen. And these don't really require attunement. If you want to have them have that property where they require attunement, go for it. I just don't really see the need because they're not that powerful of items. Like, they're not really game breaking. They're just kind of supplementary here and there, exactly what you're looking for kind of thing. Okay, so Orange Shell, you heal 2 hit dice on a short rest rather than, I guess, just one. I think I did that wrong in my last campaign. So in my campaigns during short rests, which are at least an hour, you can spend 1 hit die to regain HP, but with this shell you can use 2 hit dice on a short rest and regain HP. I don't know if that's the real rules, but that's just how we played it. Orange Shell Powder, so this is the one-time use. You can gain 2d6 temporary hit points. So this does not heal you. This just gives you extra temporary hit points for, I guess, a minute. I didn't really write that down, but you can do it for however long you want to. It doesn't really freaking matter. Green Shells. Green shells shake when certain types of creatures are nearby. And I think I was going to make a chart specifically for this to see what type of animal, preferably aquatic animals. But if there's a way where you can, I guess in your campaign or your players, if they can find a way to make it so that that green shell sort of attunes to the sort of enemy creature that they want to shake, or that they want to cause the shell to shake, go for it. Think I'm going to have to make up my own chart or just come up with something random. But I think it would most likely be some type of aquatic animal or something that lives near the coastline, or birds that live near there. Green Shell Powder, you get +2 AC for 1 minute. I think that I kind of wanted each of these kind of to go with each other, so the shell form and the powder form, to do very similar things. So it shakes when a creature is nearby. It's a very protective thing. And then Green Shell Powder, +2 AC for a minute, another protective effect. So the red shell is basically just a focus band. And this is the one my players are basically trying to kill a Kuatoa over because they all wanted it. So it's a focus band. If you guys don't play Pokemon, if your HP would be reduced to 0 or below 0, it's reduced to 1 instead. So you're at death's door. For those of you who've played Darkest Dungeon. Red Shell Powder. Okay, so Red Shell Powder, if you play Magic, Red Shell Powder is Phyrexian Unlife. So what it does is you can go into negative hit points for up to 1 minute without dying or passing out. But if you take damage that would reach half your max HP, you die instantly. No save, no nothing. And I think I'm going to have some rules in there where depending how far you go, each one of those is going to be a failed death save. And then at 3, you're done. So I'm going to have to tweak this one for my own campaign, but I thought it would be a pretty cool effect. Not only for my players, but for the enemies, because I have a feeling a lot of the enemies are going to want to use stuff like this. I think this one does need a little refining, but I like the idea. I like the concept. Yellow shells. Very, very basic. Yellow shell glows in the dark. That's it. Very brightly in the dark. It's basically just a torch. Underwater torch. Yellow shell powder will make anything glow for a day. So again, whether you paint the powder on using some sort of oil or water, it'll make whatever object you spread the powder on glow for an entire day. Pink shell heals 1d8 HP when bloodied, and then it becomes a regular shell. So your pink shell basically just waits till you hit half HP or below, and then it heals you up a little bit. Is that helpful? A little bit. Is it game breaking? No, you just get 1d8 HP back. It's not that crazy. Pink shell powder instantly stabilizes a creature on contact. So if somebody goes down, boom, pink powder, he's stabilizing. You ain't got to worry about him. How often is that going to come into effect? I don't know. I just made these things because they sounded cool. White shells. The white shell provides a +1 to all saving throws. I think this is the only one that seems a little bit busted. White shell powder. This is used offensively, actually. So this one can be spread on someone or blown into someone's face. Pocket sand, basically.
Give it! Pocket sand. Yeah.
And they have to make a 15 con save or be paralyzed for 10 seconds. 5 seconds, so that's 2 rounds. So 2 rounds, they're out. Is it enough for you to kill someone? Yes. But if you fail to do that, they're back up in 2 rounds. So there you go. So the purple shells are basically detect magic, the spell. They don't really identify, but the closer they get to something magical, the brighter they glow. The powder dispels magic and makes invisible creatures visible. I'm sure I'm going to have to set the limit as to what it can dispel, but I think like a certain spell level or lower, just bam, dispels, and then you're kind of good to go. Will this dispel like magical swords and magical weapons or armor? I highly doubt that, but maybe I might add a little like if you spread this on somebody's armor or somebody's weapon or any magical item, then like for a minute that magic is just gone, almost like a null stone kind of thing. There are ethereal shells. So ethereal shells, exactly what it sounds like. It's a shell that's ethereal. It's not all together there. It's not all together corporeal. So you can hit ethereal and incorporeal creatures if you're wearing one of these. Because I think for the most part, most creatures that are incorporeal or ethereal can't be hit with normal weapons. I think. So magic weapons, you're good. But if you don't have a magic weapon, you just have an ethereal shell and you're good to go. Ethereal shell powder. An item or person becomes ethereal for 1 minute. Again, I'm going to have to come up with a little more rules for that one, but it's just a cool little thing. Can they pass through walls? I'd say sure. I thought it was cool. I'm going to stick with that one. And then the last one are opalescent shells. Okay, so the way the opalescent shells work is you gain resistance to the first elemental damage you take for a minute. So let's say right off the bat somebody uses like a firebolt against you. You gain resistance to fire from that point on for a minute. And then once that minute's over, it resets. Then if you get hit with something that deals necrotic damage, you gain resistance to necrotic damage for a minute after that. And it basically keeps resetting, but it doesn't stay the same. It depends on what type of damage you're hit with. But let's take that scenario again. Very first attack, you get hit with the firebolt, your resistance to fire damage. Then you get hit with something that does necrotic damage or radiant damage or frost damage. Again, for that next minute, you only have resistance to fire damage. So it doesn't reset within that minute, but it will reset eventually. I just thought that was interesting. It's obviously going to help if you're fighting like a dragon, and he does fire damage, and he only does fire damage. Opalescent shell powder. Okay, this one's also offensive. So what you do is you would spread it on your weapon, or I guess on your fists if you're a monk or something, and it adds 1 of each elemental type for 1 minute. So for the next minute, every single attack you have deals 1 damage of all elemental types. So that includes thunder, fire, cold, necrotic, radiant, force, psychic, and acid. So that's +8 to all your attacks for a minute. Again, this is one where I feel like it's kind of busted, but not really. It's just +8 for a minute. My campaign actually has a little more elemental damage than these. So it'd actually be +9, which if I use this one, I might have to change it. But again, I kind of just like the idea where something imbues your weapon or your attacks or whatever it is you're doing with all elemental damages, not just one in particular. That's basically how it's going to work in my next campaign. So I might tweak these a little. I like the ideas of them so far, but let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys use them and how it goes. I have used at least 2 of these in my last campaign, and my players really liked them. So that's it for Merfolk trinkets. If I come up with any other items, I'll let you guys know. I'll share them with you guys again, and that's it. See you next time. Cheers, guys.